Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer. Welcome back to Draft Day Sports Pro Basketball 2020. This is episode number 11. We're wrapping up the off-season, ready to start the new season, and I'm well into free agency now. We're about 2 weeks in. We have roughly 1 week left to go. We also have the same amount of time in order to sign any second-round picks. Here's what we're at and what we've done so far. Alright, so if we go back to, let's see, is it the dashboard? Yes, we have just made a whole bunch of moves. Okay, the first one, going back a little ways, we signed Jimmy Strange to a 5-year contract as the second assistant coach. But here's the recent stuff. First, starting just about 2 weeks ago, one of the first days of the free agency market, Chris Williams, the random second round pick that we ended up with, who was unnecessary and rather useless. We were able to trade him out for the one who I actually was looking at drafting as a second round pick, just straight swap, and that's Antonio Harper. Here's the big news. This very day, we just made a massive deal in, well, 2 ways. First off, we offered a 1-year deal to Malik Beasley worth just $1.2 million. Small potatoes. He actually ended up accepting that offer. He was a restricted free agent, but nobody was picking him up or getting late into the free agency period, so he went ahead and re-signed. There's only a few teams that had any kind of money to work with. Really, there was only 6 that had any at all, and about 4 of those only had room for about 1 signing. So as we get down to the final little bit of cash left out there in cap space, Beasley went ahead and accepted our deal. And on literally the exact same day, the little bit of cash that we had was actually, we didn't have anything. We went for our cap exception, the mid-level exception, and we had tendered an offer to Willie Cauley-Stein, 4-year contract worth $38 million, so just under $10 million per year for Willie Cauley-Stein, and he has just accepted that today. That changes things a little bit for us as we kind of break it down into the contracts. Here's where we're at now. So we've got Hield and Barnes, and they're still on big deals. Dedmon still a bit overpaid. We've got another year left on his contract. Corey Joseph, same thing. These guys are overpaid and not great. They're not bad. But there's Willie Cauley-Stein with our just under $10 million deal for 4 years. So quality player, signed up for a good long while, 3 stars, good offensive rebounder, okay with the defensive ability, but overall he's brings a lot to the team. Definitely plays in the post though, has a little bit of a mid-range game, no 3-point game at all, unfortunately, but can definitely contribute. He can definitely contribute. You can see he was at 13 points a game, 9 rebounds a game, and that could and should help us out for the former 6th pick in the draft out of Kentucky with 5 years experience. So we'll see how he steps in and helps this team. But with that mid-level exception, we now have more depth at center and really could, at this point, make a push to get rid of Dedmon. But how many teams want that contract is the big question. There's only 1 more year on it now, so he might be a little easier to move than last season. But we tried like crazy to give somebody a better deal, and even then nobody wanted to absorb that contract. So we'll see if we can move him and Joseph at some point this season, but I don't think that is likely. In terms of bird years, teams have a little something to work with on them. So what we have left at this point, we're already over our budget on the cap. So we do not have any cap space. So in terms of free agency, there's only two things that we have left that we could potentially do here in this final week of it. That is, one, we could still re-sign Torrey Craig. He wants a big payday. What I like about Torrey Craig is this defensive ability. It's an 80. And after looking around the free agency market at small forward, he's the best defender out there. And while there are some better players overall, he is the best defender out there. And he is okay as an outside shooter. Not a great scorer or passer for that matter, but he'll handle the ball well enough. Still has, some potential to improve here and there. But I think the big thing is that defensive ability and the ability to make a three-pointer. I mean, you can see most of the time he's going to opt for a three. He's not going to waste the mid-range shot. He'll get in close or he'll take the outside shot. But he's definitely a 3-and-D kind of guy who did a decent job for us last season with limited minutes, and I think could continue to do the same. The trick, though, is I don't want to pay him a whole lot of money in order to do that. But as he's at 3 years, he can get pretty much anything, so we'll see if we can sign him. The other thing is we have our rookie Antonio Harper. Now that we're over the budget, I'm more inclined to sign him and hang on to him. But looking at that roster, we are now at 3, 6, 9, that's 11, 12, 13, 14 players. So Torrey Craig would make 15, Harper would make 16. I don't know if we have a limit on that or not. If we do have that 15-player bench possible, or if we're allowed to sign beyond that, which in real life they do have more than that, but there's kind of certain rules behind it. So I think what we need to start with is we're going to go for Torrey Craig, and here's what's left of the free agency market as we get into this final week. If it'll load up. Oh, how about we go this way? There we go. And there you can see Torrey Craig, second best anyway, behind Derek Jones on defense. And that's really what we're after. He's got a much higher IQ. That's definitely something I'm looking for. Not quite the best outside shooter or scorer. I think at this point Derek Jones might be a better option. But the thing about Derek Jones, as he's got that defensive ability, I don't have a way to sign him as we are over the cap. So there is no offer that I can make to Derek Jones. We have a low-level exception, which there's no chance that he's going to take. He wants an $8 million deal. So low. Well, I don't know. 3.6. Maybe he does want to take that. You know what? I do find the minimum maximum a little odd. Well, okay. I guess we were allowed to make a deal there, potentially, with Derek Jones. We'll give that a shot, and then I think we're going to need to look into re-signing Torrey Craig, as despite the cap money, we are allowed to do that. So we'll go ahead and advance another day. The free agency was a little tricky to get used to on the first couple of days of it, but once I figured out how that system worked, it was just fine. see a lot of these are players re-signing. You don't see too many new guys moving on, but we do see a bit more. In terms of who's left out there, the big player still left available is DeMarcus Cousins. Enes Kanter also. Those two are the prime ones. Cousins would have been great, but he wanted way too much money to take the mid-level exception. But at this point, he might be running out of options, because if we look, let's see here, at... Oh, now I've lost place. Finances. There it is. If you look at cap space, this is all that's left out there. So the Heat, the Hawks, and the Hornets still have a little bit. Grizzlies, a tiny bit to play with. These guys can't sign anybody with that kind of money remaining. So a lot of teams really, really well over the cap limit. And we're down to just those couple players left that have anything that they could possibly do with it. Looks like our offer is already off the table, so he has declined it. Otherwise, it would still be available. So, Torrey Craig, we're back to you, and we're looking at trying to re-sign Craig. What is it going to take, though? He's got a lot of interest. His demand was only $5 million, and we could re-sign him to multiple years. He's 30, maybe a 3-year deal. He wants 5.3 per year for a 2-year deal. I think I'd rather sign him to something like 3 for 3 years. Okay, so 3 years with just slight increases. Don't care how it ended up putting that the way it did, but let's see. Should apply the final year. Could we do a team option? We could try the team option for the 3rd year. I don't think he has a lot out there to choose from. Thing about that mid-level exception, you can only use it once, so we don't have other options. He did not immediately accept it, but is it still on the table, or did he turn it down? He turned it down. So we need to go back to it. Oh, look, it's Carmelo Anthony with a 1.5 star rating. Nobody saw what he's been able to do, though. Nobody saw that coming. I don't even think the Blazers saw it coming when they brought him in. They were just desperate with the injuries that have continued, by the way, even after he's been brought in. So we'll try a new deal. I'll try it without the option in the final year. Just give him a 3-year. Maybe give him a 2% raise. So 3 years guaranteed. Oh, I had a warning about you already have a full roster, but he's on that roster. I'm going to look for that warning tomorrow, because maybe that's where we're running into a problem. That's a player that I'm very fond of and I think is a bit underrated on this game. Robin Lopez. But then again, maybe I'm more of a fan of him as a person than as a basketball player. Okay, so this time when we go to make a deal with Torrey Craig, I'm going to have to keep an eye on that corner. I saw the flash, said something about roster, but I shouldn't have a problem. That's the weird thing, is I shouldn't have a problem. Continue. Maybe we'll give him the 2-year deal that he wants and go 3%. So we're raising it up a little bit, but let me see what is that full roster. If you do not trim your roster down to have an open spot, the player will ignore your offer. But they don't. I have 14 that are signed. You make 15, and you're already on that roster, right? Do I have to let go of our second round pick in order to try to sign Torrey Craig? Ooh, hello. That's a lot of deals. There goes Cousins, 4-year deal to the Hawks. There's Lynn to the Blazers. Ooh, interesting move. Mason Plumlee. There's a lot of former Blazers on this list at the moment. Or over the last couple days, anyway. Yeah, it's getting ignored. So I think the current setup, I need to go back into my roster for a second, as now Cantor is the best player left out there, and the money's going to be even less than what had been previous. There you go, the Hornets, Hawks, Heat, Grizzlies, all down to just that little bit left to play with. So I think this roster spot is currently being held by Harper. And looking at Harper, he really does not have the potential, though the defense is there and he can shoot. So I'm kind of stuck with the, do I want to take this player who can play some defense, but it's definitely not a bit cheaper for us than Torrey Craig. I think I'm going to do that. I'm just going to accept that this guy is not Torrey Craig, but what do we have for small forward then? He's got Troy Phillips, our other rookie, and between Buddy Hield and, let's see, it's Jake Walker, right? Jake Walker was the top pick? Yes. Our 4.5-star potential guy. I think we can definitely move. Now you've got, let's see, a little bit of a post game above a break, corner 3, mid-range. You're not quite pass heavy either. You're a little bit less on that. You'll take the pull up, the catch and shoot, the drive and shoot, drive and pass, post up a bit. You'll do all of those things, and you've got a lot of potential in a lot of areas, but you are already a capable scorer, and you're capable of becoming a great scorer in this league for Buddy Hield, who's 3-star guy already. Not bad having. Where does he fit in? Outside shooter, free throw. Does he seem more like a 3? Could he be more like a 3? Not a fan of a defensive ability of 60. Above the break, mid-range post. I'm more inclined to move Hield along, but he's certainly capable of high teens, and I think even moving him to the 3 can still do that. 6'4", 212, and Walker is 6'7", but 201. So he's definitely taller, but he's a smaller guy. Okay, well. Harper, dang it, let's do it. Never mind, Craig. Ooh, hello. Okay, you're about to sign your second-round draft choice. Harper, contract will be $900,000. Choose 1 to 3 years, the box below for the length of the contract. If you wish to proceed, click Make Offer. You do not have to sign. You may cut him with no penalty now, or he will automatically be released at the end of the free agent period if he is still unsigned. You also have the option to click Retain Rights to allow the player to play overseas while you retain his rights. Oh, kind of like that option. Retain the rights and see how he is in a year. Okay, let's do that. Retain rights. That clears the space. I think I now have the space for Torrey Craig. Let's retain him for now. We've got 2 days left. Let's see if we can get a deal done for Torrey Craig, who can impact the roster more immediately. And again, no cap space. Can't sign anybody else unless it's a minimum deal. So now, ooh, look at that. His demand is coming down a lot late on. So maybe we go down to 2.8. And we'll try 3 years. Give 2%. An eye out just in case, but I think we should be capable of signing Craig now. There you go. Re-sign Torrey Craig at a much smaller deal than what it would have been with these other guys. Including, again, couple former Blazers. Every day recently, there's been a couple recent Blazers players on this roster. Of course, that's what stands out to someone like me. Cap status is actually better than it was, too, because we signed him for less than what he was making a year ago in that new 3-year deal. But with that, we have no space left. We have a full roster now. As free agency is about to wrap up, we have our deals done for the year, and there are plenty of players with expiring contracts that we want to keep an eye out for. But De'Aaron Fox is going to be due a huge pay raise. Rashawn Holmes is probably not going to be retained at the end of the year. Swanigan, good chance that he won't be unless he starts to break through. Bull almost certainly will be retained unless he wants a massive pay raise. And Malik Beasley will be the same sort of thing. If we can keep him relatively cheap, I'll probably keep those two around on deals. So may only be down a couple of guys. There you go. We have our roster now set. And in terms of what's left in free agency, Marc Gasol, the best player out there, at 36 ancient years, which is still less years than I've been on this earth, but still, in the sport. It's quite ancient, and believe me, I still play sports. I coach. In fact, I just had my last day of the basketball season. The girls' basketball season. Our boys' basketball season starts right after New Year's, and then there you go. Gasol signed with the Warriors. Anyway, this is final day of free agency. And with him signed, now you're down to a whole slew of 2-star players. And just from the top to right here, there's 4 Blazers players right there over the last few years. Connaughton, Crabbe, Harkless, Hood. Apparently they just litter the free agency scene this year. Anyway, as somebody who is roughly that age, just a little bit older than Marc Gasol is at this point in the game, I can speak to how the body reacts to playing competitive sports. Albeit for me, it's soccer that I still play competitively, but go out and coach every day. Bang around with teenagers, teaching them how to do the post and whatnot. Look for, there you go, Rodney Hood to Brooklyn. Dwight Howard ends up to the Warriors instead of the Lakers. Mo Harkless, the other one just mentioned, to the Heat. Alright, so looking up and down our roster, we now have 3.5-star De'Aaron Fox. We have 3-star Buddy Hield. We have 4.5-star potential Jake Walker. We have 3-star Marvin Bagley and Willie Cauley-Stein. In addition, we have Harrison Barnes, Dwayne Dedmon among our top backups. A whole bunch of 2-star guys. Really only a few 1.5-star more potential young guys. Troy Phillips is probably going to be G League this year. Justin James, again, will go G League, as they both have some potential. But we're just about there. So, inbox, what do you have for me? Rookie option deadline. Yeah, we already got that. Pick up options on rookie contracts. If a first-round draft pick about to begin his final season under contract, you must pick up his option now for a 3rd or 4th season, or else you will lose the right to do so and the player will become a free agent. When you are finished, click the advance button. And I actually do have Marvin Bagley, right? You have a rookie option. Apparently I need to do this from the contracts page. Exercise option, definitely. The option is worth $11 million for the 4th and final year of his contract. We should pick up the... Yes. Alright, so Bagley already signed for next year. That's good. At $11 million. That's expensive, but it's worth the deal. Worth the deal. Okay. Alerts, probably the same thing. Yeah, rookie options. And on the key dates front, we are now looking at training camp coming up October 3rd. And then we pick up with where we started last season. So it is training camp. Training camp opens up today. Click the advance button to set your training camp plan. There is an AI suggest button before we run the training camps. Team general training. We have scrimmages, film study. That's basketball IQ, skill areas, fitness training, offensive sets, defensive sets. I like working on that. Discipline and positioning. I think I need to look at our roster a little bit and see where these guys are. Alright, so in terms of jumpers, Phillips, boy, he needs work on his shot, doesn't he? It's inside. Our jumpers, Holmes has no range. Willie Stein, a little bit of range. Bull, a bit. This one again. Free throws. Okay. Everybody's somewhat capable as a scorer. Beasley on up. These guys do score. De'Aaron Fox right now, the top guy. Jake Walker will be. Buddy Hield. Ooh. Okay, now looking at that makes me want to hang on to Buddy Hield for now. As Jake Walker, it's going to take him a little while to develop into that guy. There's plenty of others, though. Passing. That's a real weakness for pretty much everybody but Fox. Handling. Corey Joseph and Fox. A few other kind of standouts. So that would be one skill area to work. Defense. This one's really important to me. Our weakness. Jake Walker. Come on. 48. IQ could... Endurance is fine. IQ could use a little work. Defense definitely could use work. And passing could use some work. So we're looking at... bring that down. We could definitely use some IQ work. We could definitely use some defensive work. And then, let's see, ball handling a little bit. Yeah. Definitely want to work on passing. Scoring ability. Defense a lot. Don't want to work on jump shots much at all, even though I do have a couple jump shot shooters. They were really good at it. Steals and blocks. Okay. Work on losing off-season weight gain. Oh, interesting. Player morale. Certainly want some of that. I'll put that up a bit. Move the post moves up more. Work on the outside shot for sure. Okay, update team plan. And we're going to run training camp, I think. Okay, save that again, and here we go. Run training camps. I rather enjoyed that, getting that option in there. Already I see some changes. Marvin Bagley, 3.5 stars now. We have Jake Walker, now 3 stars. We have Justin James, now a 2-star player. Interesting. Okay. We're going to check the inbox. Time to assign scouting points and players to the D League. Let's go with the scouting points. I like what I ended up doing last season. It worked out pretty well for us. It worked out pretty well. We have the same number of scouting points, oddly. I have points remaining? I have more points than I had last season. Awesome. We have 19 points left. Let's see. We want probably, let's say, Western Europe with the last 19 points. Okay, and the second part was who to assign to the G League. So we have 2 point guards. We have 4 shooting guards. However, one of them will be starting at small forward. I think Troy Phillips and Swanigan, if Swanigan's still eligible, as the weakest players, are probably going to go to the D League / G League. And let's see, Swanigan. Swanigan is not available anymore. Okay. Sean Holmes is not eligible. Is Bull? He is. Do I want to assign him there, though? I could recall him later. Yeah, he's not going to get minutes with Dedman and Collar-Stein ahead of him. I think he's going to have to wait until a deal for Dedman or Holmes takes place for him to pick up any minutes. So I think he'll be the other one I end up sending. Or do I want to send Justin James? Send Justin James for another year. How is your defense? A 67. Bull is now a 69. Let's go. Bull. I want your IQ around. Said Justin James again this year. He's developing well. Development elite. Draft to do this. Make sure you players sent to the team can't be recalled later if you need them, and they can get good playing experience in the meantime. Okay. Alright, well, we've made it to the start of the Pro League calendar. So we are back where we were. D-League draft tomorrow. Regular season 2 weeks away. D-League draft day, G League. This game, and you can't make up your mind whether it's the D League or the G League. clear those out. Alright, on to the draft. And we'll be running this one. Doesn't matter who we end up with. It really doesn't make any difference for us. Just about the guys we actually have on the roster and keeping at it with those guys so that they can develop. And that really makes very little impact. So I'm going to go ahead and call it there. We are ready to begin the regular season. This was the final thing before we enter it. So we'll be taking a look at our depth chart and then getting into the first games of the year. I like the direction we are going with this roster already. I think we're a much stronger team than we were even a year ago after unloading players as best we could, getting rid of what contracts we could, and setting ourselves up for this season to be what it was, and yet there we are. So, can it be a better year? Will it be a better year? If we're looking at the win percentage, a while ago, the Clippers were here. This is our first game of the season, and so they've shown this matchup throughout the offseason, and they were somewhere over here. We're up to a 49% chance now against the Clippers. You know, the Clippers that have Kawhi Leonard, Paul George on it. That team. One of the favorites in the league. I don't remember where they were last season necessarily, but I do know where we are now, and that's a whole team of starters that are 3 stars or better, and a whole bunch of reserves that are all 2 or 2.5 stars, at least, on our bench. So there's some quality out there. Yes, I have some free agency years, but or guys in free agency this year, but we're not that far over the cap. I think we can re-sign each and every one that we want to re-sign. And I could see us making the playoffs this year once again. How much better we'll be than a year ago, I don't know. But I think we could be a 45-plus win team. I don't know if we're a 50-plus win team. I don't think we're that good yet. A year from now, if we retain this core, specifically if Jake Walker continues to progress as a 3.5 or 4-star player a year from now, I think we can start contending for home advantage in the first round. That sort of thing. I think we can head that direction. I don't think we're there this year, though. But this is already starting to develop into a pretty good team with a young core. De'Aaron Fox, Jake Walker, Marvin Bagley, all young guys, and there's hardly any age on this team. You got Torrey Craig at 30 and Dwayne Dedman at 31. Otherwise, everybody else is under the age of 30. Corey Joseph, a veteran at 29. That's it. I mean, it's a pretty young team. Barnes, 28. Okay, a couple 27-year-olds, but most of those guys are fill-ins or holders. They're not our core pieces. So we have a good young core with room to develop, room to improve. Speaking of, how is Fox looking in that department? 4-star potential. Not far from it now. He is not far from it now. Defensive ability up to a 69. He's definitely heading in the right direction. Jake Walker, our superstar. Scoring's up to a 66 from, what was it, a 63, 64. So he's seeing some improvement there. His outside shot's good. Passing needs some work. Rebounding needs some work. Defensive ability at least hit 50 now. So it's not below 50 anymore, but he's got a long ways to go in a lot of areas. But we're going to give him time, regardless of what it means to us in wins. Walker, we're going to give him every chance to develop. Aim to the star. So even if that means some losses this season, I'd rather sacrifice this season for the future because we have this good young core. You've got to let this young core develop. That's going to do it for this episode. I'm Decathlon Gamer. I will see you next time. Have a good one. Bye for now.